Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's talk with the fantastic Althea Finch. We're going to talk about the pain-free method, and she's going to explain all about what that is in just a minute. But first of all, Althea, welcome. And to everybody that is new to this channel, I bring on amazing speakers bringing new knowledge about the world that we're in and how to heal ourselves and all sorts of different topics. And Althea's got something really, really interesting today that if you've got any pains, aches or pains or anything like that, will want to watch this video. So welcome, Althea.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's lovely to be here.
Great. So we first of all met at an event and we were doing
Mm.
our crystal water experience and you had a stand like a couple of rows down from us and me and Kel were absolutely fascinated with what you did, and you did a Zoom where you got people on. You was talking about how to tap into your pain and how to remove it yourself. And we said, we've got to get you on the show because of exactly what you've been doing. So I wondered if you could just explain maybe a bit about your background, start from the beginning, because you've got a very interesting story about how you've ended up where you are, even starting with your name, right?
Yeah, I found out my name, Althea, means healer in Greek. And I thought, no, that's crazy. Because by that time I was 30 and I didn't really consider myself a healer, but I was definitely a natural therapist and wanting to help people and heal. So that was crazy. Um, Yeah, I mean, I created the pain-free method, which is what I teach today, how to be pain-free by tuning into you. Um, I started at around about 30, but I was starting to be interviewed like this one by lots of people, and I didn't know whether I should share my childhood story or not because it's personal. And I thought, well, why do people have to know that? But as I was interviewed, and I started to do a lot more talks in the last couple of years about how the method works and everything, I realized that actually it's the reason why it works, why the method works so profoundly. So when I was a little girl, I was abused, sexually abused, and it was when I was quite young, I was about 8 years old, and it went on for some time. And I got the message that it wasn't dealt with, it wasn't addressed, and I got the message that exactly that you just sort of move on, deal with it yourself, just stay out of the way of the person, and everything will be all right. But of course, it wasn't. And from 8, I was fighting my corner, trying to be defensive and avoid him. And that's what I did. So when we're children, we pick up patterns and behaviors and experiences, and it doesn't go away just because you grow up. And that's the message I got, was just grow up. So I did, but it leaves repercussions in your behavior and your thoughts, in the way you understand the world, and all sorts of things. So there I was, just had it in my past and grew up. But when I was about 17, I became severely bulimic for 10 years. And I think it was all that suppressing, keeping it suppressed. And on the outside, I was defensive. I was out there, gregarious and go-getter and achieving out there in the world, but not really connected to me inside. I was obviously I knew what I'd been through, but it just sort of was get on with life. That's the message I got. I became severely bulimic and for 10 years suppressing, It wasn't the bulimia, it wasn't the event, it was more about it unresolved feelings and memories. That's the crux of it. Never mind what was it. It's sort of whatever, but it's how it makes you feel. So I became a natural therapist in my 20s, hands-on body work, which I absolutely loved. I love the intellect. I love how the body and mind and feelings all connected. So if you get stressed and you get tight shoulders and you have massages and meditation or whatever, it's only going to work to a certain point. But unless you release the reason it's there, the stress that's creating the physical problem, then it just will get worse. It just keeps coming back. So I realized at 30, I'd been working with a lot of people for in my 20s, 10 years or so. And I had an epiphany of healing at 30. I was going along in my life, ignoring my inner self and giving and hands-on body work and helping people. And I love going really deep with people, really connecting to how they tick. And through the body, I felt like with my hands on their body, it's like a doorway into the person. It wasn't really the body at all, it was connecting to the person inside. So I didn't really put it all together in my head. But when I got to 30s, I was dumped my private life, as you do. And it kind of woke me up. It shook me awake. And I crashed and burned. I became I got stuck. I didn't know what to do. I thought, well, you're supposed to marry a guy and have babies and off you go. But I got dumped. I thought that's not supposed to happen, but it happened. And in my personal life, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to step forward. I was sort of stuck. But so I poured all my energy and effort into my work. And during this time, I became super sensitive, super open, very sensitive. And I started to see through bodies and hear people's thoughts and see their past lives and hear spirit, sound, the voices. Just really, really sensitive, I think it was. Very open. And during this time, over about 2 or 3 years, I had this epiphany of healing. I thought, oh my gosh, it's not the massages, it's not meditation, it's not eating good food. And all these things can help you, but it's actually connecting to you. Where are you inside? What are you inside? The you inside. So when I used to touch people, I could see their stresses and worries. I could see them in their kitchen getting frantic and can't worried about something or other. And meanwhile, I'm touching their feet with reflexology or shiatsu or something. And I'm encouraging them to breathe. But I'm seeing all this inner person. Sometimes they took me to a past life. I just watched them. I just observed. And that's what you've got to do for yourself. You've got to connect and observe and connect to who you really are. So we can do all these lovely things and herbal things and all sorts of lovely things. But unless you connect to the you inside. So now I realized, well, when I started getting interviewed these last couple of years, talking about it a lot more, I want everyone to know, how do you do this? Because it's so simple and easy. It's just I think it's inbuilt into us. My whole method makes sense. It's just simple and straightforward, but we miss it because we have belief systems or we have stuff we've been through, like I did. I mean, I never talked about my past until I was 30. And even then, it was just a flippant comment to a good friend. And I thought, oh, God, why did I say that? Shut up, because that's what I learned that you shut up. You don't get listened to. Nothing gets dealt with. You fight your corner. That's what I picked up. So that's what I did for 30 years until I had this crash and burn and it broke me open like an egg, it made me realize how it works. I had this dawning that this is how it works. And that was the beginning of the pain-free method. But it still took me about 6, 7 years to create. I thought, well, wow, this everyone's got to know this. And then I thought, well, how can I give this to you? What am I doing? So I analyzed myself, what I was doing with somebody. And as they walked into the clinic, and I used to treat with Shiatsu and reflexology mostly, but I studied all sorts of things like Reiki and acupressure and Chinese massage, all sorts of things, all kind of mind-body connection things, working through the body. So I had to analyze myself and what did I do? What was in my mind when I watched someone come in the door and they booked themselves in and then they told me what they've got a shoulder thing or a headache or whatever it was. And then they'd lie down in this couch and I'd start, wrapping their feet in nice bubbly water and use lovely oils and nice music and get them to breathe, get the environment right. So then relaxation begins and release begins. And then I'd be pressing on different points. I thought, oh, that's spine, something's going on there. And so I would analyze what I was doing and the process of it. And that was the beginning of the pain-free methods, which I've been doing for 25 years now. This is what I teach today. It's profound. I mean, I specialize in long-term chronic pain and conditions because that's where I come from. I come from a deep place of holding, my story. So I like to help people with difficult conditions that as long as you're ready and open for change, that's a really important factor. Are you ready to change? Are you ready to have you had enough of your symptoms? Have you had enough? Are you ready for what you really want? And that I can help you through that transition. What are the simple actions? How do you do that? That's what I did for myself, and working with so many people.
Well, that's an amazing story, and thank you very much for sharing it with everybody here. And like so many others, you've had to experience trauma and
Mm,
heal yourself in order for you to be able to see the path. And some people then, once they have that knowledge, want to get that information out there. And there's quite a few things to unpack I'd like to ask you about in what you've just said. But
great.
is this your experience as well, working with people with trauma? I mean, once that has been released, have you seen a change in them, for instance?
Totally. I mean, I specialize in physical, functional, practical things, muscles, bones, veins, nerves, joints, and things. Because I am spiritual, but I'm quite practical. So that's my specialization. And also, when you have a physical thing, I like to see that evidential change. If you don't have a pain anymore, it's pretty obvious. Um, so that I don't specialize in trauma, but people come to me with physical conditions usually. And that's just the beginning of the story. That's where you connect to start healing. You're showing yourself where to start healing. And in the West, we're not taught this. So I don't specialize in trauma, but lots of people do have trauma. But I start with physical, functional things. And then from that, everybody's story is different. Some people just have accidents. There was one guy, Martin, who had back pain for 30 years, learning to live with it, managing it, as we're all told. And he started to feel relief in the first 5 minutes. When you do the right actions, it just starts to change. But he had, when he was a lad, he had some motorbike accidents which damaged his body. And then he had 30 years of back pain. So he didn't have any trauma. Maybe he had physical trauma, perhaps. Somebody else had high level anxiety who who walked into her dear mum, and she committed suicide, and that lady was 8 when she saw that. So it traumatized. That was trauma. She was traumatized throughout her life, and the patterns kept repeating as well. So with the pain-free method, it removes the physical discomfort, and it stops it coming back, because the when you have physical pain or trauma or anxiety or whatever it is, it bubbles up in you as a physical symptom, or a migraine, or your life doesn't work, or you're not happy with yourself or something. I call it an out of alignment thing. So it can be physical or emotional or mental. But once you connect to it, address it, feel into it, listen to it, to that message, then you're actually releasing it from the root. That's why it doesn't come back. Once you know what to do,
It,
you know?
it's there, yes. So but I guess when I meant trauma, I meant it could be physical, it could be emotional. And when I talk about the water in your body and DNA being the fourth stage of water, and also epigenetics and so-called junk DNA, which people wrongly think scientists call it junk because it's waste, Junk, but it's not. It's called C-jun-end kinase, and that's why it's called junk, JNK. And it's been shown that epigenetically that you can program your genes. This part of your gene is programmable. And the reason why this is important is because we need to be able to perhaps respond quite quickly to something that's happened based on something that's kind of highly traumatic, something big. So let's say you come across the bear, you've never seen a bear before, and you quickly find out that that bear isn't very good. You'll experience some kind of trauma. It'll write itself into your DNA, into that junk DNA, that recodable DNA, so that next time you see it, you know what to do with an instant kind of fight or flight response, depending on that response. But the truth of the matter is most of our life is set up with different kinds of traumas, and we are responding to them in a physical way. It will feel physical, and you won't even realize that that has actually been ingrained into your DNA. And by the way, this can be passed on from generation to generation, and they've proven this with they were taking some people, I think it was in the Netherlands, and they'd experienced some kind of famine. And that gene response, that genetic response, was passed on through the father's line and to the next generation. So they were physically manifesting proteins and expression of proteins based on what their
Mm.
grandparents had been through. So that physical kind of process from DNA to protein with the epigenetics, it certainly makes a lot of sense to me, what you're saying, that it seems to be some kind of, what I mean by traumatic response is there's a lot of kind of energy put into something, there is certain things that are released to go, right, we better program this into the DNA. And you will carry that until you go into it and you
Mm.
try and remove that program that you, or even in a past life, or even in somebody else in your generation, whether it's your bloodline, has actually put in there. So to me, this makes a lot of sense, kind of on the quantum level, on the genetics level.
And what I found is it's even easier than that. You don't have to go looking or going to do anything at all. You just meet it where it is. Meet the back pain where it is. Meet the knee pain where it is. Your stresses, meet it where it is. And what you do is you enable it. So you soften your body. You direct yourself. You know what you want instead. Like so there's nothing for you to do because it's already a story that's culminated into headaches or something. So that's where you meet it. And when you meet it where it is, like it's like a sort of meditation on you. You stay present with the problem rather than reacting to it. And when you do that, that's like opening the window to a bad smell. You know, you're opening, you're accommodating the need, opening the window, and it goes out. It's the same thing when you have a back pain or anything. There was exactly so that's the kind of thing. It goes back and back and back and past lives, I think. I believe in
Yeah.
past lives as well. So there was this lady who came to me with shooting knee pain, and she only had it when she walked down the stairs. Only, and it was breath taking your breath away, shooting knee pain. And in her case, even the doctors couldn't find anything. There was nothing, but she definitely had it.
Mhm.
So she came to my program, and so I show you how to connect to the thing, the presenting condition, so that it goes. So you're listening, you're connecting, you're hearing, you're feeling. And in this state, you're putting yourself into connection, into alignment, and then the body will work and things will release. And as she connected to her knee pain, memories popped up. She didn't go looking, she didn't think, why have I got this knee pain? No, you stay present with the problem and it contains what's in it. So um and then so a memory popped up that she was 16 walking down the steps of a ferry. And she's an Irish girl who was coming to England at 16. And this was a very common experience for a lot of young Irish people, apparently. And it wasn't just that memory, it was more than that. It was terror and fear. She's going to this England and what's she going to do? And 16, I mean, if I was
Yeah.
doing that at 16, I was a baby at 16 looking back. Nothing, goodness me. So there she was. She was probably terrified. And so it's an emotional trap. And at the time, she obviously had to live life and get on with it and move forward. But when things need resolving, they're in us and they bubble up as something that tangible that we can deal with. So perhaps you can't go back in the past, you can't change what happened,
Mhm.
um, but you can deal with it in a way that it stays with you. So she's 50, she was 50s when she got my help, and once that had released and these memories bubbled up, and there were some other things. It wasn't just that; it was things about her and her life and other things. And as she connected to the knee pain disappeared and never came back. And it doesn't because it's an expression of what's it doing there. And so it's wonderful. And
Yeah.
that's why it's so quick and for very serious conditions. I mean, there is a caveat in here. Are you ready to let it go? Can you face what's actually created it? As you connect to your problem, what happens when you do that? Do you go into denial or resistance? Do memories pop up like this lady? Are you able to relax as these things that you've been burying and holding for all this time? As you connect to your problem, you're automatically going to be confronted by what's created it. And that can be really challenging. That's part of sorry.
Sorry, I was just really resonating with what you said then. I think, and I've got a little question for you on that. Is you're right. I don't think that you need to connect to what the problem was in the past. But as you release these things, you realize that these fields of information then kind of they're either felt physically or they then return as memories and things like this, and you have to let them go. I found, and I wonder what you found, that sometimes when this has happened and somebody's perhaps gone to somebody who can help them with their past life, they've explained something like, oh, I've had this trauma, and ever since I've had a knee problem because of this happened. And then what they tend to do is they're repeating that trauma again and again, and they seem very tied then to that exciting story of the past life rather than observing it and the way that they're explaining it. And then this happens and that happens. And every time anyone says this to me, I'm like, wow, they're just building that up and making it stronger. It's
I
there,
agree.
you saw it, let it go, because you've got loads of them, probably deep inside. Clear all that stuff out. You don't have to become a part of it. And is that something that you found as well?
Yes, definitely. I mean, people definitely hold on to trauma, but I think it's because all the pieces haven't been let go of. And why are they carrying on staying in the story? There'll be reasons for that. And that's where the pain-free method can come in. It's what's the key? What's the key of holding there? And I find that emotions are one of the major keys. Emotions are like the mycelium. They connect to all your cells. They connect to your body, your mind, your feelings, your past. It's like the world wide web of reality, actually, of the universe, I think. So why is somebody keeps bringing up a story? Well, what's it doing to them? How are they getting affected by telling that story or reliving it? What is that? And if it's something really traumatic, like that lady as a little girl got that terrible experience, that goes really deep. And when we have things as children, we embody, we take it as given the experience we have. And then we go up into adulthood, which we become more cerebral and more logical. And the logic says, that's past. It's nothing to do with me. It's done. But that little girl, that child experience is still in you. So I find that through by connecting to the feeling of it, then it's released. There'll be reasons why people keep repeating it, is the main bit there.
That's
And what is that?
That is really interesting. Yeah. And
Hmm.
I'm really glad that there are people like you around because I am one of these people that have always been able to move on from things. And I don't mean forget things. I'm very good at seeing things and disconnecting from things and going, okay, that was there or whatever, and not taking things on board. I'm just not ever since I was a kid, I've just naturally been able to do it. So therefore, when you're a bit like those maths teachers that are really good at maths, can't explain it. I'm one of those people. So but I'm also very good at observing, and I notice this in the conversations people have. Like, I'm very good at noticing when people are constantly either talking about the past or the future, and they're not here. And when you
Mm.
speak to this is about being conscious or unconscious, and they'll very often repeat stories about the past and things that have happened, whereas I very rarely do. When I'm talking about the past because it's got something specific to say, but people go, "Oh, you've talked about something, in the past now," and it's because I don't know how I do it, you see. That's why I can't explain it. How can I just say, okay, yeah, I've thought about it, I've dealt with it, I've now moved on. But people don't. They're telling me, and they don't realize they've told me the same story 10 times about, I say, an hospital operation. Is a really good friend of mine has told me about this operation and what's happened to her 10 times. And then I say, do you know you keep repeating this story? But I have nothing to add but there. She goes, oh, really, do I? I said, you keep bringing in this energy. All I say is don't talk about it. But what you're saying is actually there's a way because there's a reason why they keep repeating it.
It is like your friend. You can say to her, what's this doing to you? How's it affecting you? What happened?" Because the emotions are like the connector. And what's the purpose of keep repeating it, maybe? Or um, maybe she's just somebody who likes to keep expressing the past. Maybe that's all it is. So I'd have to have a chat to, but generally, we do keep repeating it because something's unresolved, and we keep sharing it to get some kind of acknowledgement or hearing or something or relief or
Mm,
release. And I like to say, I mean, that's lovely that you're the way that you do it because you're a beacon for people to show them how it's done and to remind them, let it go, move forward. And we only live in the present, and that's where release happens. That's where freedom is in the present. So if we do keep in the past and the future, we're not here, and those things can't let go. But what's happening? Why are you doing that? What's it giving you? That's where
mhm.
I'd begin with someone like that.
Those
What's it give?
conversations. Yeah,
Yeah, and
that's
most
really good
people,
advice.
yeah, I mean, you're unusual. You're very striving, and you do that, and I think it's a beacon to other people. But lots of people do go in the past and the future, but I think they're somehow stuck. But this is where this method can come in, that connecting to the emotion of it, the underlying emotion. What are you getting from it by repeating it? What happened? How did it affect you? That's where the release is. But more importantly, what do you want instead? Move forward, because it's not about putting out fires, you know. And I like to say, get on with your life, live your life, and everything's okay until it's not, until you have headaches or trauma popping up or something. Then I say it's a message it wants to be heard. Then you need to connect with it. Otherwise, it just keeps coming. You can't ignore it. If her memory does keep coming back like that, the stories do keep coming back, then there's something significant is in there. And how do you release that? You connect to it. That's
Good.
how it releases. That's how it releases.
So
Message it
let's
wants
just,
to be heard.
yes, he does want to be heard. That's what, well, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Keeps getting told. So that they're great tips. I'm just going to quickly share your website so we can have a
Mm,
little look round at the various different things that you do. I'm hoping you can see that now.
yeah.
Yeah, great. And so this is the front page of where you are. And I had a little look around before today, and you've got some information about things there. And what I notice here is you've got these different programs. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about them, or maybe I'll just go into them because I think, like you said, there's you've told me, I think when we met, that you've got these programs, and sometimes it's very quick, it's something that's very specific that you need to tune into, but sometimes things are a bit more deep-seated and need to come out. So, which one should I have a quick look at?
So it's all the same method, whichever one you choose. And when I first started the program the methods, I just did a 90-day program. I did the private one-to-one guidance with people. But so many people wanted help but couldn't afford the private one-to-one coaching. And now I have different options. You can get even from free, get the free guide, find out how it all starts happening, understand how healing works and how it happens. You can get the free guide and all the way to private one-to-one coaching. But there are lots of options. Like this one here
Mhm.
is this week. This is a taster. It's just a little taster, an introduction to how to start healing. I show you the four actions, the four core healing actions that start shifting symptoms. That's the first process.
You
So it's a
see,
group
and
call.
that is not a lot of money, is it, for
It's not, it's a really valuable call because some people, it's an introduction. So if you've got a lot of story, like, we've been talking about people's lifetime stories and things and deeply held emotions and things, you might need the 90-day program. That's the main program that I run. And you can either do that privately with me or in a group. And this is a taster session that you're looking at here. So the 90-day, the so this is this week. It's an hour and a half call, and I guide you and I talk about a little bit about how healing works, what's the mechanism, so you know what to walk away with, how to view healing correctly, so you start getting results. But more importantly, I give you the four actions that begin the process. I've had a lady who had full body pain. It turns out she had, I didn't know it at the time, but she had cancer and very difficult family experiences. And I saw her, it's about 3.5 years later now. I saw her at an event I was at this year. And she not only is completely pain-free, she doesn't have cancer. She's done other things as well to help herself. Now she teaches her journey, what happened. She teaches it now. She still uses what she learned from this little taster session.
wow.
So it can be from simple negativity or headaches or whatever, all the way to full-on body conditions and life stories. these four little actions can get you started. So that's a little taster session. But the main program is, I think yeah, this is the main program. It's a 90-day program that takes you from pain to pain free. It's got great detail in there, and everything is simple and straightforward. And this big orange thing, this is an offer I have at the moment on this program. If you join it twice a year, I take you personally through the program as a group. I take you through the whole program myself, and we've just started. If you join the program up until November, you also have a private one-to-one 1 hour call with me, which is £250. That is going to be free if you join the program before the end of November. The program is fully supported. I'm in the program with you. I guide you every step of the way. So if you're confused and don't know what to do, or if you're not very techy, I guide you on everything and to the results you want. This is Martin actually, who had the 30 years of back pain.
Yeah. Shall I quickly play the video?
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
No, let's listen to Martin.
From the first day, from the first 5 minutes, I was quite expecting it to be a long slog, but the first meeting with you and literally within the first 5 minutes, I was seeing results which blew us away. The recommendation also told us a little bit about what to expect, but that didn't prepare us at all for how I experienced it. It felt like I was going on a journey, to be fair, and it felt like a journey within myself. And that was where I felt the true healing come from with your guidance. You need your guidance there to open people up, to open people up and to make them aware. I would say, I'm nothing special, but I think everybody has it within them and they just need help to be shown the way. I've never experienced life in living memory without pain, and I have that now. So thank you for that. I mean, I still get the twinges and that, and as everybody likes to tell us, I'm not getting any younger, but we don't pay too much heed to what they say. It's very profound. It's very profound. It's not rocket science. It's, to be honest, Althea, once you've opened us up and basically shone the light, I found it relatively easy to the point I'm off the moon. Initially, it wasn't what I was expecting. I was just expecting, and I would have been happy just getting improvement. But this has gone way past improvement. This is well, the period of the course now, because of the fact I've been pain free, I've been able to do a lot more exercise, and I've been able to do a lot more things that fill my cup. Health as well. If you haven't got health, no matter how much money you've got, so to get the result I've got worth every penny. As I've had pain, so to experience life without pain at this stage, it's gold. It's gold. Wonderful. How much do you want to be pain free? And that.
Before that other one starts, yeah. How much more do you want to be pain free?
Yeah.
And so, hang on. Let's just stop this a minute. I've just got a little. But now we have the National Health Service and very many other kind of solutions out there, which we're taught to mask things, mask pain, and the pain, inevitably doesn't go away, and people don't realize actually the side effects of many of these pain medications is pain. So they're only supposed to be taken short term, and long term, they actually, produce pain either directly or indirectly. But this is something very deep ingrained into our society that
Mm.
you, unless it's got to be free. We've got to get it. It's got to be free from the doctors. People shouldn't have to pay for this kind of stuff, and it should be taken a pill. And people need to stop. Don't take responsibility for your own pain. It's happening to you, and all you need to do is cover it up. Do you find that kind of resistance, or is there any
No,
change in
definitely.
that these days?
Definitely. But I think, what with us all going through the COVID times, that people didn't have access to these things, I think that's shaken people into well, most people who come to me are on heavy meds. They're on a lot of heavy meds, cocodamol, all sorts of things, morphine patches and all sorts of things. And I mean, one lady, she had 15 drugs she was taking,
Mhm,
15. And but it's not working. It makes them foggy. It makes them out of it. It doesn't touch the pain, or it makes it go away for a bit, but then the pain comes back. This is what they're telling me.
mhm,
And I know with this method, it's tuning into your natural system. Your body knows how to heal. Like if you scratch yourself, it heals.
mhm.
That's what your body's trained does. It's always a self-balancing system, self-healing system. So it's about tuning into that. And I know with my method, people come off their medication because if you don't feel you feel fine, then you don't want to take it. And a lot of people tell me they take all this stuff but they don't want to, and it doesn't make them feel good. I mean, we had one guy who had severe nerve problems in his hand, and he'd had an accident and damage in his back, and it was radiating pain. So he said he was not a nice person to live with. And he said to me, Althea, if you get rid of my pain, I'll marry you. I was like, okay. And then,
Okay, double-edged
yeah.
sword there. Shall I help him or not?
And then he got to us, I think it was 7 months later. I mean, my program's 3 months, 90 days, but he learnt the program, he learnt what to do. And he had in 7 months, he'd taken four pills in total in 7 months. And when he came to me, he was taking 6 or 7 every single day just to switch off, just to go to sleep, just to knock himself out.
Wow.
And he said now he's a nice person to live with. He's back to himself. And he said, Althea, I love you.
Are you married, Althea?
I'm not married though.
Okay. I was gonna
But he
say,
said, I love you. I said, I love you. And I thought, yeah,
okay.
okay, I'll accept.
You'll accept that one. Well, that was a very
So,
generous offer from them. But you must be really impacting people's lives for this to happen because it's so
yeah,
debilitating. And my other question for you was going to be, these methods would be great for people to learn when they're not in crisis. And but I'm just like at school and this kind of thing. But it when people come to you when they're in that absolute agony state, what I find fascinating about your approach is that you can use that to your benefit. I mean, because when I did martial arts and I used to get a lot of migraines, I understand what the causes are of all that now. But trying to tune into the pain and trying to work out what to do when you're in pain is incredibly difficult. But with your method, you can use the fact that you're in this state to your advantage rather than anything else. What do you
yeah,
think about what I just said?
exactly. Pain is a message that wants to be heard. So it's rewiring your thinking about pain, that it's not something to suppress and get rid of. Because if it's a message like an alarm system, you don't ignore the fire alarm, do you? You take action quick. And if you've got a petrol running out, flashing light on the dashboard, you don't think, well, I'll cover the light up, you
It's-
know?
yeah.
So it's obvious, and our bodies are obvious and literal, but it's just rewiring. How does learning how healing works? What's your physical experience? How does your body work? You eat food, and your body digests. It works the way it does. So this method is tuning into that. And it's a lot of people like me. When I was bulimic, I got to 10 years later of hell, and I just couldn't take anymore. And it felt like the bottom of the barrel. And in that moment, I just couldn't take it. I can't stop this. And in that moment, I envisaged myself in the future as an old lady chucking up in the loo. And I thought, don't want that. And that was the trigger for change. And then I found things like Louise Hay's mirror work. I started to love myself. I severely detested my body because, of course, my body wasn't a nice place to be. Um, I started to love myself, but it took until I was 27 for that process to happen. So, we can't get this stuff wrong, because if you don't help yourself, life kind of makes you anyway. It puts it's all about balance. It's all about love. It's all about self-love and balance. And if we can't be those things, symptoms will show up. Your life won't work. You're not happy with yourself. You keep attracting the wrong kind of people to you or something. Horrible things keep happening. I call it out of alignment stuff. So you don't have to be in a dire state, but sometimes maybe it's like me, you're in a dire state and you're desperate, and that's when you'll listen. That's when you realize what's happening. But this method isn't for everybody, because for some people they can't go there. They're not ready. So
Mhm.
maybe just do the taster session, or maybe just get the free guide. Just introduce yourself into how it actually works. Everything I teach should make sense, because it comes from my 35 years as a therapist, observing people, living a bit of life myself, and all that knowledge going into the part for training and Shiatsu and Reflexology and all the other things I learned. Um, it comes from how we are, how we function. And I like to keep it really, really simple. So we don't have to be in that desperate state, but sometimes we are. I mean, I like to deal with people. I like to help people with long-term chronic conditions and pain. So they tend to come to the 90-day program. And if you've just got a headache and you want to know how to nip it in the bud, you won't need that. You'll just perhaps come to the taster session,
Hmm.
the 90 minutes, and then you know what to do and you keep using that. I mean, like that lady with full body pain and cancer, that's all she came to. But for other people, they need to go through the process. I
Hmm.
had a lady with severe nerve pain, and it wasn't the program is 12 days, not 12 weeks, 90 days, 12 weeks. So it wasn't until the 10th week that she actually got relief from her nerve pain, and she started to get relief. But in those 10 weeks, she started to go out, she started to meet up with her friends again, she started to do her hobbies, she started to smile, she started to open up her life. And what was really happening was she had a very controlling, dominant husband. She didn't want to leave him, didn't want to leave. Um, but her body was screaming with nerve pain, and it was in the base of her body. So what's that about? It's like the body is screaming, saying, "Get up and move." And with her husband, her whole world was closed down. And then she had all this awful nerve pain. She could barely sit. And then eventually, her whole world gradually, gently began to open up using this method. And then she actually got nerve pain free in 10 weeks. So we go in layers. It might be emotional holding, it might be physical trauma, it might be uh, belief systems and thoughts of past stories or something. Everybody's different. But the method is super simple. You just meet the problem where it is, essentially.
You just reminded me of a story somebody told me related to pain. And this is kind of on a different track, but it in a different example, but it's a very interesting one because I heard this story about this healer guy who went to India, and he went to one of these places, what they're called, the name's gone out of my head, like
Ashram,
an
ashram or something.
ashram, that's it. And in this ashram, from time to time, what would happen is people would experience a lot of pain, and he would go and deal with them and help them out. And then 3 months later, it would happen again. And what he found out was that the people living in this ashram were so out of their heads all of the time, out of their bodies all of the time. I don't mean like with drugs or anything, is they just wanted to like take their consciousness out of their bodies and be somewhere else. Rather than being here on earth in their own bodies. And the pain was reminding them, no, you are coming back in. You are
Yes,
meant to
exactly.
be here and now, and you're meant to be all one. It's okay to do that stuff occasionally, but you're supposed to be here. And when they found that out, and when they stopped living this life where they were just constantly divorced from their physical body, they never got any pain.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. And pain is a really good thing. Symptoms are a really good thing. Exactly. I think it calls us back to us. It calls you back to your center. And when people go off emotionally or they go into the mind, which doesn't heal, the mind doesn't heal, or the emotions or the past experiences, you're in the future or the past. But you what exactly, Joe. It calls you back. There's no, and you know how far away you are from your center or from you by how bad the pain is. If the pain is really bad, it means you're that far away from you.
Wow.
And but it might be really difficult things to go to. I before I was 30, if I'd done any of this kind of connection thing, there was no way I would have done it. No
Yeah.
way in hell. Because I was running away. I was keeping away from the thing I wasn't supposed to share.
Hmm.
So if people have pain that just doesn't go and it's difficult to connect to, maybe you have something similar, stuff you can't address. It's often, trauma or past stuff, and not always, but so yeah, definitely it calls you back. And how do you know how to heal? Connect with your pain, your problem. It's showing you where the disconnect is. And in the pain is the solution. So you connect to the problem you have within you. Don't try to figure it out with the mind. You stay present in the body, stay present with the discomfort you're feeling, And it might not be easy. I call it facing the dragon. It might be really challenging. It might be really triggering. You might be in denial. Some people say, I don't know where it is in my body. I can't feel it.
Mhm.
I don't know what you mean, Althea.
Yeah.
You have to be gentle, you have to flow with that. Because if that's all you can do, just have a seed of change
Mhm.
and a thought of connection, maybe that's all you can do in wherever you are in your healing journey. But
Beautifully
you can't,
put. Sorry.
yeah. And you sorry, and then you can't get this stuff wrong because as we were saying before, that if you get it wrong, life will show you.
That's beautiful. I love what you've just said there. And I was just thinking that one of the most important things that I learned, especially as I've got older, which I learned when I was probably, I don't know, late 20s, early 30s, was to really forgive myself and to forgive other people. This is such a crucial method because the reason why people don't want to go back and revisit these tricky situations is because of any shame, guilt, or blame that they might have, and they get attached to that, so they don't want to go there. But when you understand that these things, those things aren't real and shouldn't be really part of. It's just stuff that is happening, and at that time, that is what happened. And you might not even be you weren't the person that caused it, even. It might be somebody else. But even when you hold resentment and hold anger or hold shame for yourself or guilt for yourself, you can't let go of these things. It's like it creates a force field over it. So I think a lot of people need to understand this forgiveness and forgiving themselves above anything else, which will allow them to go onto these type of paths. I
Mm.
mean, is that the kind of thing that you talk about
Yeah.
or experienced? Yeah.
Definitely, and it's one of the actions that I teach about forgiveness. I was just talking about today actually, because
Okay.
I'm taking people through it. And it's one in the program. And but the key is so if that's all they can do is go into forgiveness, and even that might be too much for somebody, but that's a wonderful tool, and I totally agree with what you said. It releases you from the story, and you're right. You might be rocking the boat of the family. You might be rocking the boat of when you were a child. Those people were your dominants, were your protectors, were your peers, were your dominant people around you. And you didn't have much say as a child. So we carry that same feeling up to an adult. And as an adult, we can logically say, well, it's because of this and because of that. I used to brush away my experience like it's nothing all the time. Oh, it was just this. Oh, it was just that. But I've realized that you're actually healing the child at that time. So you might be rocking the family, and that might be really challenging to do. To but so what the key is? What's the key is to connect to what is it you're experiencing? Is it that fear of change, of letting go, of connecting to the feelings that of your perpetrator, of the horrible experience or emotions that you feel? What is that? What connect to these emotions and feelings and thoughts that bubble up? And that's where the release of it is. That's where the window to a bad smell is, you know? You meet it where it is. And things like forgiveness are wonderful tools. They're just like a salve. It's like a beautiful word or a softly spoken, like a love song. It's forgiveness. And there's also things like being grateful for what you have, what you do have. This is another wonderful tool. There's lots of things. And in the program, I share 35 years of experience and knowledge of these things. And it starts always by connection. Connection is the key of healing. So as things come up, like your friend, connect to the emotion it triggers. How does it feel for her? What happened? Or how is it helping? What does it do for her to share? Maybe go on the positive angle because
Hmm.
she's doing it for a reason. Otherwise, it would be a nothing. She'd be
Yeah.
living in the present. And yeah, forgiveness is a wonderful tool, definitely.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And so you've got, is it this Thursday that your group
Yep.
session is? This Thursday?
Yep. So if someone's feeling this is resonating with them, they know they need time and support to go through a release of a thing, then come into the 90-day program. And you don't need to decide now. You can just book a free consultation where we can have a chat, explore what is it you want help with, and look at the program, make sure that it's the right fit for you. This is the 90-day program.
Hmm.
So if you join up until November, you get a private one-to-one call with me, whether you choose private membership or group membership. You'll get a private call with me anyway. It's worth £250. But maybe you just want to get the free guide, or maybe you just want to come on to this Thursday. We have the taster session, which is this
Hmm.
pain-free experience, I call it, a taster session of the method. And I'm going to show you the 4 actions that start shifting your thing you don't want, your out of alignment thing, your symptoms, your physical, emotional, mental, whatever it is, symptoms.
So
I should
people just need to go to painfreedom.co.uk and then they can
exactly.
find all of this information there. And it's a great resource. I do recommend people try this and start learning these skills. And I think it's wonderful what you're teaching, Althea, because
Thank
you
you.
are empowering people. And that's
Exactly.
key. We're all going to we all need to be responsible for our own health. And this is the thing that's missing in modern medicine, but a lot of people are now becoming aware of. And so you don't have to suffer. You don't have to suffer, and you are in control of all this. And it's beautiful that you're sharing this knowledge. And we really appreciate you for doing that. And just before we go, is there anything else that you want to talk about or speak to the audience now?
I would say that always look within, and it seems to be a massive sort of shift of help and healing that we're learning these days. Don't look without. If you're looking without, if you're asking your doctor and asking your friend and looking at the internet about your stuff, well, what about you? What about you? What about your feeling? And what about your take on what you're experiencing? What about your guidance? How can you help yourself right now? Ask yourself direct questions. Explore within, because your body is a self-healing system. Your whole system is your mind, your emotions, your mood, who you are. It's all going on within inside of you, isn't it? It's not outside of you. So if you ask anybody or anything outside of you, you're always going to get their opinion. But what about you? Always ask for your own guidance, because it's there. It's always there.
Brilliant advice. Always go within. That's where the
Mm,
truth is. That's what me and Kel teach as well. But there's different levels to this. So thank you very much for sharing
you're
this
welcome.
information. I really hope many people join your call because there's a lot of people suffering out there, and there are solutions, and you can be pain free. So thank you very much for coming on the show, Alfio.
Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. And I just want to get that word out there. And as you say, you don't have to suffer. And if you feel this is resonating with you, come and get a free chat with me.
Great.
I'll get it
Thank
sorted. Take your life
And there'll
back.
be details underneath this post about Althea's background, how to get in touch if you didn't see the website then. But thank you very much for listening, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.